And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're already just slightly over 410,000. So do me a favor. It's my birthday. I got to work here. I got to keep building this community. So hit subscribe, share, read, watch, just do whatever it is that you need to do to help to build this community, because the nonsense going on in DC, it's not going to stop. Not going to stop until we make it stop. Now, last night I went on MSNBC, went on to discuss the FBI raid on John Bolton's home and office, right? Based upon Trump's future retribution. And I want to show you part of it because, well, I think it's very relevant in terms of what's going on and why it is imperative that we build this community. I turned around, I predicted that I believe that former FBI Director James Comey will be next on Trump's retribution list. But before I show you that MSNBC clip, I want to take you back a little bit, give you some info that you'll take into my clip. I want to show you something that Trump posted last night on his Truth Social platform about Chris Christie. In it, he turns around and he writes, I just watched sloppy Chris Christie be interviewed on a ratings challenge news show this week with George Slopadopoulos on ABC Fake News. By the way, what the hell happened to Jonathan Karl's hair? He looks absolutely terrible. It's amazing what bad ratings on a failed television show that was forced to pay me $16 million can do to one's appearance. Can anyone believe anything that sloppy Chris says? Do you remember the way he lied about the dangerous and deadly closure of the George Washington Bridge in order to stay out of prison, at the same time sacrificing people who worked for him, including a young mother who spent years trying to fight off the vicious charges against her? Chris refused to take responsibility for these criminal acts. For the sake of justice, perhaps we should start looking at that very serious situation again. No one is above the law. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Well, I also want to show you a clip that actually was the predicate for what prompted Trump to threaten that he was going to prosecute Chris Christie. Play it.
Donald Trump sees himself as the person who gets to decide everything. And he doesn't care about any separation. In fact, he absolutely rejects the idea that there should be separation between criminal investigations and the politically elected leader of the United States.
He doesn't like Chris Christie, not since Chris Christie came out and publicly began to criticize him in a very, very rough way. Now, I want to go on and I want to show you my MSNBC clip where I turn around and I emphatically state there was an entire pinwheel of individuals from Miles Taylor to James Comey to Tish James to Alvin Ray. There was a whole slew of names. And as I said to the hosts, mark my words, each and every one, and I'm somebody who understands what this is all about. I went through the system. Mark my words, every single one of these people on that flywheel will be indicted and will be prosecuted. And I think you'll truly understand and appreciate what I had said, which I believe is very prescient, that I discussed on MSNBC last night. Play the clip.
You certainly have been on the receiving end of Trump's wrath, if you will. Does this feel like or look like to you as political retribution?
Well, it is political retribution, but I think what we have to do is just separate the verbiage of retribution and just understand, as I had said on a previous MSNBC show, that guaranteed all of the folks that you just showed on that list need to lawyer up, and each and every one of them, in my opinion, will ultimately suffer a repercussion. Everyone from Bolton all the way around the wheel to Chris Krebs, every one of them needs to lawyer up, because right now, Donald Trump is controlling the game. It's not the same playing field that we've lived with. It's not the same playbook. When Trump himself told you, I will be your retribution, Well, what did you think he meant by it? That if you do wrong by me, that I'm going to reward you, that I'm going to give you a Trump is always right MAGA hat, that you're going to get invited to Mar-a-Lago? Absolutely not. He's going to use every single advantage that he has, and he's got a presidential toolbox of it in order to make each and every one of them feel the pain that he feels was done wrongly to him.
When you say they're going to end up feeling an impact here, is that the headache of constant legal troubles and woes? Or do you think a real indictment is coming here for Bolton? We're going to see more homes raided in the coming days. Where do you think this ends?
So my prediction is James Comey is probably next, and I believe each and every one of them, again, take the entire flywheel there, each and every one of them will be indicted.
Why Comey next?
Just my gut. You know, again, I was so involved and so entrenched with Trump for a decade and a half, I sort of understand him. Comey is an irritant to him. And so I do believe that, again, my prediction.
But a judge has to sign off on these search warrants.
Yeah.
So there has to be some calls, right?
Sure. And when you start talking about, for example, mortgage fraud, as he's now alleged against Adam Schiff or Tish James, rest assured that the judge who signed off on the subpoena, on the federal warrant, did not do it blindly, even though I'm certain he read into it the way this administration wanted him to read into it. Every judge that these cases are going to go before will ultimately capitulate to those that are in power right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can we just step back a minute and talk about the original appointment of John Bolton as President Trump's national security advisor? Because in the initial days of the administration, Bolton's name was bandied about for Secretary of State, which he always wanted, but that got clamped down. And then he manages to emerge eventually as national security advisor, even though his views are very opposed to Donald Trump's less hawkish foreign policy. Was it just the initial attraction of television and of Donald Trump wanting someone to bow down to him, even though he knew that Bolton was not going to execute that foreign policy, or did he even understand that?
I think in the first go-around, Trump was not guided by himself. You know, I hate to quote him, but Corey Lewandowski used to constantly repeat a line: let Trump be Trump. That's what we're seeing now in the second administration. The first one, you had folks like Reince Priebus, and then you had others in the room that we'll call more politically mature. Well, you don't have that now. So what you have right now is Donald Trump's whims, Donald Trump's desires, and a massive team of individuals as well as government working in order to appease those whims. And they are succeeding. That's the thing. You know, when you start looking, for example, the gerrymandering, they're like, oh, well, you know, look at Gavin Newsom. He's, you know, trolling Donald Trump. So what? Right? So what? Is that actually what's going to make Democrats win? No. We need to go into the purple areas. We need to go into the ruby red districts and say, hey, we know that we didn't do right by you. And you explained to us, which is why 2025 went the way it did. Instead, here's what we're trying to tell you. Tariffs or taxes. Where's Ken Martin and messaging other than sending you a text every day asking for money? That's not going to work anymore. You're not going to win 2026 on the notion that Donald Trump bad, we should win. It doesn't work that way. So we need to get into these districts. We need to sit down and say, when you look at your bill at your big box store, is it not looking more like a mortgage now than what it did 6 months ago or a year ago? And the answer, of course, is yes, because here's the three-word slogans: tariffs or taxes, right? And consumers pay tariffs. Let them understand that your member of Congress abandoned you in order to just, again,
To be fair, there are some people doing some of what I mean, Bernie Sanders has been hosting these rallies, AOC with him, Greg Casar with him. There are people who have been advocating that the party needs to do exactly what you just described there.
And so where did they go? They go into 2, 3, 4. We're talking about send folks all around the country, people who have names and influence, whether use Midas Touch Network, use Lincoln, use Seneca Project, use Michael Cohen, send people who have some name recognition out there in order to shake somebody's hand. Let them know that we're thinking about them. We care about them, but we don't do that. You know what we do? We send them an email. Hey, send me $3, send me $5. Donald Trump and his GOP MAGAs, they're taking us apart every single day, or they're destroying our democracy. Nobody's giving money at this point.
All right, let me just ask you really quickly about something you said in the beginning, which is the sentiment that these people are irritants for Donald Trump, and that's why he wants to go after them in this kind of retribution tour. In what way are these people who don't have power now an irritant for Donald Trump? What is James Comey doing now that makes him a target for Donald Trump?
Well, it's not about now. It's about what he did before, including the same with Adam Schiff as the impeachment,
January 6th, yeah.
Right, and January 6th. And then you start talking about Miles Taylor with the release of information. You know, I remember when I was in Otisville, I read this book called 5 Felonies a Day by, I think it was by Harvey Westglade and Sidney Powell. I think they co-wrote it. Everybody commits a felony a day, all right? And if there's one thing that Trump's people are going to be good at, and when I mean good, I mean really good at, is finding it. If it's a mortgage fraud allegation, if it's going to be containing a classified document, whatever it is, the amount of pain that Trump is going to inflict on that wheel of names and the faces that you showed there, mark my words, you'll have me back for each and every one. It's just going to be like a weekly occurrence.
Are you in the crosshairs at all still?
Well, I know I'm certainly on the list. I think, thank goodness to all of these folks, I've been pushed down a little bit, lower. And so I obviously just have to wait and see. So he'll get to you in year 3 or something. Yeah, let's hope that the time limit runs out. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.